Between increasing levels of dis and misinformation online combined with decreasing levels of media literacy, it is past time to talk about the impact of rage bait and how it is affecting us not only online, but as a society as a whole. Aloha, beautiful humans. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome back if we've been locked in. My name is Sasha, and today I want to talk about rage bait. More specifically, what is rage bait, how to spot it, how to stop engaging with it, and more importantly, how it is impacting us negatively as a society. So I think it's very easy when we talk about rage bait, it's something that we think only exists in the digital landscape. But as we see time and time again, things that are happening online aren't just contained to the digital media space, the social media space. And it is often only a matter of time before these things that are occurring on social media and on the internet start to impact us in real life. And when it comes to rage bait, we are absolutely seeing the impacts of it in real life. It's no longer something that's just being contained to digital media and social media spaces. Y'all know I am a big words mean things person. So before we even get started, I want us all to be on the same page. So let's just quickly come away with an understanding of what rage bait actually is. Rage bait refers to online content specifically designed to provoke anger or strong negative emotions in viewers. This is often by making provocative statements or taking extreme positions with the goal of generating high engagement through comments, shares, and reactions on social media platforms. Essentially, it's clickbait that aims to make people upset instead of just curious. I really like that they make a difference between rage bait and clickbait because both of them employ a hook. It's stirring an emotion out of you to get you engaged in the content, to get you to look at it, share it, engage with it, comment, like, whatever. It is designed for the express purpose of eliciting some type of emotion out of you. They both employ some level of a hook. However, that hook, when it comes to clickbait, is curiosity. You know, think about those listicles that we used to see everywhere, like 10 steps, 10 ways, 3 ways, 5 ways. You know, that in my mind is clickbait, those listicles that we used to see all the time. We really don't see that as much anymore. I would click on those because it stirs, it invokes some level of curiosity in me, and I'm a Gemini. I'm just curious. I'm a natural curious person. So I will engage with clickbait if it's something that is interesting to me. Rage bait, however, is content created with the express intent and purpose of eliciting a very strong reaction out of you, more often than not a very strong negative reaction out of you. Which brings us to why people do it. Like, why post this kind of content you know is going to elicit a very negative reaction out of people? Social media, especially if you are trying to become a content creator, it's really oversaturated. And because the market is so oversaturated, it can be really hard for people to break through the noise, break through all of these people who are creating the same type of content as them to really stand out amongst the crowd. I've been on social media for the past 6 or 7 years, but I didn't really start taking social media as seriously until about 3 or 4 years ago. And it has been a long, steady build for me. My intention is to build a community. So I want to go about doing it the right way. I want people to want to be here because they find my content interesting, or there's a shared likeness to us, or they find my content very interesting because they don't know anyone like me. You know, whatever is the reason for someone coming to this space, I want to foster an organic interest. That organic interest is not going to come, at least for me, it's not going to be a lasting community that I am building if I'm just putting out clickbait and rage bait type of content. And so it has been a slower growth period for me. And I imagine that's the case with a lot of content creators who don't blow up and go viral overnight, especially if you were not one of those early adopters or early adapters to TikTok. However, there are people now who are trying to build that community and build that following, but they don't want to take the time to cultivate and grow a community. Rage bait is a very easy way to go viral nowadays, to get in front of as many faces as possible, to drive engagement, to drive clicks, to drive shares, to drive views to your page. And it may not necessarily be in the form of creating a community, but that is less important to a lot of people, especially if you don't have a product that you're trying to sell. You are just trying to get as many views as possible because your page is monetized and you are trying to make as much money as possible. A lot of rage bait is posted because people are seeking attention in hopes of going viral so they can make money, especially if they are in the creator fund on TikTok, or their Instagram is monetized, or they're monetized monetized here on YouTube. There are many reasons why people post rage bait, but in this day and age, I think the top 3 reasons are people are A, looking for attention. They want to bring attention to their page. B, they're trying to go viral, and very often they're trying to go viral in order to make money, especially if their page is monetized. And C, they're trying to build a community, but they're going about doing so in a lazy way. When it comes to rage bait, I think that content is very lazy. And while I understand that it is very hard to stand out nowadays if you are a content creator or if you're trying to get into the influencer space, my views on rage bait is it is the laziest way to build a community. It requires little thought, very little effort, and it's not going to build a sustainable community if that's what people are looking for. Your engagement is going to be all over the place, and people are not going to react with the other type of content you post because they are just there for that video that went viral, for that type of content that went viral. If you're the type of person who only creates content and posts content that is rage bait in nature, you start to chase that virality, and your content, it becomes diluted, it becomes less authentic, and people are not as likely to engage with the content that you're genuinely trying to put out there because the stakes are always increasing, the stakes are always getting higher. So people don't get to know you as an individual, they don't get to know you as a person, and they're not able to connect with you authentically. They only know you for the rage-based content that you're putting out there that's going to elicit some type of reaction out of them that is often anger or negative in nature. While it's a very easy and quick strategy to make money or to get eyes on your page, in the long run, it's not a lasting way to build a community. But people don't want to take the time. They don't want to take the time to sit there and grow and put in the work and build slowly. They want the quick validation. They want the quick likes. They want the quick views. They want to go viral. They want to get in front of millions of people, as many people as possible. But that is often fleeting because our social media cycle, it moves so quickly now that someone who went viral last week, they're basically a nobody by the week afterwards. And we saw that with the early days of TikTok. People were going very viral and able to, get brand deals off of it, get verified, build a community, build a following. And people saw that and tried to emulate that strategy. But unfortunately, fast forward 4 years now, TikTok is so oversaturated. There are billions of users. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are trying to become content creators, trying to become influencers. So virality no longer has the benefits because everybody knows that this is the formula. This is the formula for going viral. Post something outrageous, post something that's going to elicit a lot of emotions out of people. It could be positive emotions, but more often than not, it's very negative emotions. And that is very fleeting engagement though. Somebody can go, like I said, somebody can go viral this week, and next week, nobody is checking for them. And you'll even see it on their page. You'll go to that viral video they had that had like 1.6 million views or 2 million views or millions of reshares. And then their content is back to 200 views, 300 views. One of my videos went viral earlier this year. It was about the girls in Sephora that were doing blackface. I think that video got, I don't even know. Last time I checked, maybe like 2 million views. But then within 2 weeks, all of my views were kind of back to normal. And that wasn't even rage bait so much as it was me just expressing, why are these children doing blackface in Sephora? Where are the parents? And that is something that induces a lot of emotions from people. So even though I didn't post it with the express purpose of it being rage bait, just sharing my reaction to something, it is something that, and it was a piece of content. It is a topic, it is a situation that induces and evokes a lot of emotions and reactions out of people. So I got those views. I got millions of views on that video. I got a couple thousand followers from that. But within 2 weeks, my engagement had dropped and my views were back to normal. So going viral, especially by posting rage bait, it is not a lasting strategy when it comes to growth. But people will do it not just for growth, not necessarily anyways, and at least I don't think anymore people don't do it as much for growth, so much as they do it for the express purpose of putting money in their pockets, especially because on TikTok, it is so easy to become monetized and a lot of people are on the creator fund. And I personally have noticed the timeline of this rage being posted. It's very often a week to 2 weeks before the end of the month so you can get your payout. You can increase your views and then get your payout. So just start to notice if you are noticing a lot of rage bait on your feed. Well, I'll talk about that later, what you can do if and when you are noticing rage bait on your feed, or if you notice you yourself are a person that engages with a lot of rage bait. I'm going to talk about later in the video how to get out of that cycle, but something to definitely notice and to just be aware of is the timelines in which this is happening, because more often than not, if you start to pay attention to the trends of social media, especially the timelines, you will realize that this content, there's an uptick in it always 1 to 2 weeks before the end of the month. And it coincides with the TikTok, especially on TikTok. I can't speak to YouTube. I was just recently monetized and I don't post rage bait content. So I can't speak to what YouTube payout is like, or what their timeline is like, or what their structure is like. But if you are somebody who has been on the TikTok space for a while, you will start to see there is a timeline in which you're going to start to see an uptick in these videos. The average person spends 2 to 2.5 hours on social media a day, with the average number for teenagers and young adults being higher than that. So if the average person is awake for 16 hours a day and you are spending anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours a day on social media, higher if you are a younger adult or a teenager, that is nearly 20% of your day, 1/5 of your day that you are spending online locked in. When you are taking in content and when you're scrolling on social media, we may not be able to, on the surface, understand what is happening to our brains and what is happening to our body, but what you are consuming absolutely has an impact on your brain, and you can feel the effects of rage bait in your body. And rage bait is absolutely doing damage to you physically. Rage bait by design is made to trigger us in very specific ways to elicit certain emotions from us, specifically rage and anger. This is what we call emotional hijacking. What rage bait does is it targets the brain's emotional center, causing us to react before we can even think. Our amygdala lights up and suddenly we're defending ourselves or our beliefs as if they're under attack, or swan diving into the comments to immediately share how this is making us feel, our thoughts, feelings, and opinions, how much we hate what's happening, how much we hate what's going on, etc. That instant emotional hijacking, that instant reaction, that instant anger, it spikes your dopamine levels as well as your cortisol levels. It gets you hemmed up and it gets you activated, and you are sitting there now scrolling for 2 to 2.5 hours a day, sometimes higher. You are spending that time activated, enraged. It cannot be good for your body and it cannot be good for your mind. As you're sitting there watching this content that is evoking anger and frustration or even disgust out of you, and you feel the need to comment with it, engage with it in some way, shape, or form, it is triggering the dopamine center of your brain and releasing that dopamine hit, which reinforces the behavior even if the feeling itself is negative. And this makes it so much easier for you to get hooked into similar posts in the future, to continue to feed that cycle of rage bait by engaging it. And what's happening when you engage with content, I don't know if people recognize this, and I had an exchange with someone earlier this week. This nurse, Hannah, she was going viral, and I posted a video in response to it, essentially saying, if this person is evoking, if you think she is posting rage bait and it is evoking such a strong negative reaction out of you, block that person. And somebody responded to me, oh, I don't follow her content, but it showed up in my feed. And it was like, you don't have to be following, first of all, you don't have to be following someone for their content to show up on your For You page or in your feed. You have very likely why it's showing up in your feed is because A, it's something that is going viral at the time. There are content creators I have never come across that when I switch over to my For You page, their content pops up. And the only reason why it's popping up is because it is something that is going very viral at the moment. So either A, you have engaged with that content, that specific content creator, or the type of content they're creating, or somebody similar, you have engaged with it in the past, or it is something that is going viral at the moment. So my response to this person was block her. If you do not want to see this type of content anymore, block that person. By engaging with content that is enraging you, all you're doing is telling the algorithm, this is content that I want to see more of. And what is happening is you are creating a very miserable existence for yourself on social media. And not only are you creating a very negative existence for yourself, at least a very negative viewing experience that is spiking your cortisol levels and it is making you angry and enraged, you are also telling the feed, I want to see more of that. You are flooding more of this content onto your feed. You are training your algorithm to send you more of this type of content. And as you are training your algorithm to send you more of this type of content, you are creating an echo chamber for yourself. And the negative impacts of echo chambers are not something we are only seeing online, but we are feeling the negative impacts of in real life. What rage bait is also doing is activating your confirmation bias, tribalism, and negativity bias. This is where echo chambers come into play. When it comes to confirmation bias and tribalism, we are naturally drawn to content and information that aligns with how we see the world and our viewpoints, our thoughts, our feelings, our belief systems. So when someone is posting rage bait, often rage bait that challenges how we view the world, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, it can almost feel like a personal attack. And that rage bait is exploiting our need to defend our identity or defend our tribe. So if somebody is posting rage bait content that it goes against your values, goes against your beliefs, it is triggering you, it is triggering your anger. And some people have the emotional intelligence to realize what is happening and simply block or scroll away. But for other people, that pull of tribalism is very strong. And before you know it, you are now arguing in the comments with people you will never meet, with perfect strangers. Some of them are probably not even real people. They're nameless pages, people with no profile pictures, often bots. You are now sitting there engaging with people who are not commenting or even engaging with you in good faith. It is the worst use of your time, and it is an even worse use of your energy, a waste of your energy. When it comes to negativity bias, our brains are so much more sensitive to negative experiences and interactions, which makes rage bait inducing content very hard to ignore. This bias evolved to protect us, but we are no longer living in this place where everything in our environment is designed to kill us. So now something that evolved to protect us is now being used to our detriment. That negativity bias now, it is so much more likely to pull us into exhausting interactions. And this is just what rage bait is doing to our body. What it's doing to us as a society is even worse, because you can feel it in your body, and what you're feeling in your body is generally concentrated just to you, but none of us exists in a vacuum. So what we're experiencing, the energy we bring, our character, how we show up is impacting other people. And the effects of rage bait and how we are existing online is not only eroding our user experience and making social media an often frustrating and miserable place to be, but it is also impacting and showing up in our society and how we treat one another and how we engage with one another. What rage bait often does is it triggers this moral superiority within us that makes it so we have to defend our beliefs and show that we are better than other people. And moral superiority, what it does, it lends itself to virtue signaling and slacktivism. So often when I see people engaging in rage bait, for example, the Nurse Hannah situation that has been blowing up all over TikTok and other rage bait inducing content, you know, these alpha male podcasters who say horrible, disparaging things about women, which we know is not true. However, they're putting out this content, yes, to their red pill and soul community, but also they know that saying these extreme and negative and sexist, saying all of this is going to elicit an explicit and extreme anger in people when they put it out there. They already know this. If you don't have the emotional intelligence to realize I am being rage baited, what so many people often do is see a piece of content, see a piece of rage bait that they know does not align with their own personal beliefs. And instead of just blocking and keeping it moving, they will hop into the comments to virtue signal to show I am better than this person because I don't think this way. So let me show you all the ways in which I am better than you and living my life better, and how I'm above thinking like this level of thinking or this behavior, this manner of acting is so beneath me. You know, a lot of people with this Nurse Hannah content in particular, because this is kind of that the whole Nurse Hannah situation is what really sparked this video, because I've noticed a lot of rage bait over the past few months with an uptick of it around the elections, around like October, November. And this past week, there was so much of it online. And I was like, what is happening here? It is feeding people's need to virtual signal and show that they are better than other people, because we have so few opportunities to do this in real life. And so many of us are no longer active members in certain communities or clubs. Most of us are existing in just a workspace. We're not building friendships. We're not building tangible community with other people. So much of that community has gone online. And when you are in that online space, you are looking for like-minded people. When you hop into the comments of this rage bait to virtue signal, you're not just only hopping in there to say, I disagree and this is dumb or this is whatever, or to show yourself as a morally superior person because you don't align with this and this doesn't align with your values. You're also signaling to other people, I'm a safe person. Come join my space. Come join my community. And what I've seen happen with this Nurse Hannah situation is so many people have taken, and it's not just this situation, it's so many situations online when people are bullying someone or a content creator, an influencer said or did something that has elicited a lot of negative reactions and emotions out of people. And now everybody wants to talk about it and get their 15 seconds of virality or social media fame off of latching themselves onto this situation and talking about it. What they are doing in and of themselves is virtue signaling, is trying to build their own community by saying, hey, I'm a safe person. Again, that confirmation bias to show that, hey, I'm a safe person. Our values are similar. Come and exist here, building that echo chamber, building that space where everybody is thinking the same way as you. For better, yes, but sometimes it is for worse. Rage bait is diluting the social media experience in so many ways, but what it is also doing, especially in the public space, in society, it is promoting slacktivism in the worst way, where people think that having a view about this one particular thing, they've spoken about it, or they've posted a comment about it, or they've reshared or reposted a video affirming their own beliefs, showing that, hey, this is what I align myself with. Now their work is done. You know, when it came to that Nurse Hannah situation, so many people called CPS on her, and I can't speak to whether her children are being abused. I'm only using this example because it is something that happened recently. It is the most recent form of rage bait online, or people responding to what they think is rage bait and virtue signaling, and using this as an opportunity to show how much better of a parent they are or of a human that they are, whatever reason. What people have done is now they've called CPS on her, right? They think that abuse is happening in the home, so that calling CPS and leaving her horrible comments talking about how much of a bad mother she is, or agreeing with and reposting the videos of people talking about her horrible parenting, people think that that is the extent of, you know, they can pat themselves on the back and be like, all right, I did a good thing. I called CPS. That is my good act of the day. That is the extent of my activism. That is the extent of my work. And what is frustrating about that is, in real life, in their own communities, children in their own children's school, there are likely children who are being abused and mistreated that they are turning a blind eye to or have not taken action on, because it would require more than posting a comment, than resharing a video. It would require so much more action. It would require so much more time, energy, money, action to actually do something more than commenting. I'm a firm believer in, when you feel like there is nothing you can do, you do what you can and you allow that to be enough. However, so many people have devolved to slacktivism or online activism and think that that is the extent of their activism, when in real life there is so much more that they could be doing or should be doing. And that was my issue with the blue bracelets, because it's so easy to sit there and put on a blue bracelet and say, this is the extent of my activism, I'm an ally, I'm a safe person. But when it is time to actually do the work of being an ally, speaking up in spaces to advocate for disenfranchised or marginalized communities, and having to actively use your voice, having to put yourself or maybe create an uncomfortable situation for yourself, not a lot of people are actually going to tangibly do the work. When I think about Nurse Hannah and people calling CPS on her, people were really upset. For example, her child did not have a coat. It's like, there are local coat drives. It is December. There are local coat drives happening right now in your own community. Did you donate a coat? Did you donate 3 coats? Did you create your own coat drive? because you saw this boy online who didn't have a jacket, who didn't have a coat, and it bothered you so much that you picked up the phone and called CPS. But did you take it a step further to look at coat drives for people, for children in your community who may be going without? Do you volunteer at the shelters around you? What are you actively doing in the way of activism to actually create change? If something evoked such a negative reaction out of you that it was so important for you to take this action of commenting or even blocking the person or even calling CPS, what are you actually doing in your real life to do the work or to do something that's going to make that situation better? Maybe not that situation for that child or whoever online is the focus of your rage bait, but in real life. Activism can start online, but it shouldn't end online. But for so many people, that is what it has devolved to, and it's just very unfortunate. When you are taking in rage bait, it is leaving you very activated, agitated, and angry, and in your anger, it is clouding your emotional intelligence. It is clouding your ability to think critically before reacting. And we see this in real life in so many interactions where people will pick up their phone and start filming an experience or escalating a situation that could have been resolved with just a simple conversation, that could have been just resolved with good communication, with taking a step back, with not assuming the worst, not assuming the worst intent, not trying to have a viral moment, not being so ready to record something and blow up somebody's spot. You know, there are so many interactions I watch. There's so many rage bait situations that are occurring on a daily basis. And I'm watching these things and I'm like, this could have been de-escalated if one person would have just put their ego or pride to the side or stepped away or just thought for a second, critically thought about the situation, and instead of leading with emotion, instead take a step back and lead with critical thinking. You know, disinformation and misinformation is running so rampant nowadays because people don't take a second to stop and pause and think about what they are reading and what they are viewing before instantly reacting to it. There was a time, I remember I would be so frustrated when I used to use Facebook. I don't use it as much anymore, but when I would use Facebook and I would see these articles written with an obvious clickbait title or a title that's going to entice you to read it, it would be so obvious to me reading the comments from the people who are reacting specifically based on the caption alone, based off of the article title alone, versus the people who actually took the time to read the article. And time again, I would just be like, what is happening? Why is nobody reading? Why is nobody fact checking anymore? And it's becoming increasingly worse with AI and disinformation and misinformation. People are no longer fact checking. They're seeing somebody say something or do something online and immediately reacting off of that instead of taking the time to just sit back, pause, close the app, and go do the research for themselves. We are existing in and creating a society that is devolving into not only a disturbing lack of critical thinking skills and critical listening skills and listening comprehension, but black and white thinking, that all or nothing thinking. You're either right or you're wrong thinking. That right or wrong thinking that makes it so people are willing to die on a hill and argue their point down to the ground. You know, that cognitive dissonance. People are willing to devolve into cognitive dissonance as opposed to just being like, you know what, I made a mistake or the information that I had was wrong. And now that I'm being presented with new information and accurate information, I can change my mind and that's okay. You're living in the society of black and white thinking and it is eroding our relationships with people. It's eroding our communities. It's eroding friendships because instead of activating empathy and simply trying to understand one another and just or de-escalate situations as they're happening, people need to be right. People need to be right or they want to create a viral moment. People are so emotionally reactive. Instead of them to activate their empathy, they just go off of whatever emotion they're feeling at the time and don't want to take the time to just have a conversation or de-escalate the situation. Rage bait is not only diluting online interactions, making social media a miserable place to be, it is also making us stupider. It is decreasing our level of empathy. And I'm really concerned, especially with how susceptible it makes us to misinformation and disinformation. information. And with the increase of AI, it is only going to get worse, which is why it is so important now more than ever to know A, how to spot rage bait, and B, what to do with it when you see it happening and how to interact with rage bait. How I spot rage bait, or what I believe to be rage bait, is I notice instantly how it makes me feel. If it is something that immediately evokes negative reactions out of me, be it anger, disgust, or frustration, it is very likely rage bait. Now, there's a difference between news information, because there's a lot of news and things that are happening that I'm like, oh my God. And it does make me angry, frustrated, and disgusted. But I'm specifically talking about content creators or influencers, people who are posting like this from a first person narrative, from a first person perspective. They're posting some level of content, be it a video, be it what they are reporting as news, something that they are reporting to be true, but it is not news in and of itself. It is something that a content creator or an influencer is posting, and it is something that they're presenting as an opinion. If it elicits an immediate reaction out of me that is negativity, anger, frustration, disgust, whatever, to me, that is instantly rage bait. Go to their profile and look at the type of content they typically post. And if the content they typically post is rage bait or clickbait, or is designed to get you to engage and with a heightened level of emotion, I just block them. That is not content that I need to be seeing. It is not content that I need to be taking in to my mind and letting it have an impact on my body. I don't need my cortisol levels spiked. I don't need those hits of dopamine. I don't need to be activated like that. I firmly believe that social media is a tool, and like any tool, you can either use it to build or destroy. I seek to use social media to build, so I'm not going to engage in destructive content. So when I see that type of content, and if it is eliciting a negative reaction out of me, I just block it and keep it moving. And I encourage people to do the same. If it is something that is being presented as a piece of news information and something that is coming down the pipeline, there's something that is happening, this elected figure or this elected official said this, that, or the third, this celebrity, this personality, go and fact check it. Do not take what that person is saying at face value. Go and fact check it. Do not engage in that comment. Do not like it. Do not share it. Do not comment on it. Go and fact check it first. I want to come back to my advice to block people, because I understand that that can create the echo chambers that I'm talking about. While I absolutely believe it is necessary for you to protect your peace online so you can have a pleasant viewing experience, echo chambers are part of what is degrading us as a society and diluting our empathy for one another. So you can listen to content that you don't necessarily agree with, but this is objective content, not subjective content. When somebody says something is subjective, it is based on their own feelings or opinions. If you don't want to hear opinions or views that differ from yours, that is fine. That is that one-on-one content that I'm talking about, that a content creator or an influencer is posting that you don't want to listen to, that you don't vibe with, that doesn't align with you. Go ahead and block that and keep it moving. Objective content, however, is what I do not believe we should be blocking. Objective content is based on facts and not influenced by personal feelings. So things that are happening in the news, things that are happening in the media, especially around politics, even if something doesn't align with your personal political beliefs or values, I think it is just very important to be aware of what is happening in the world, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. So if it is a piece of news information, you may not like the source, but it is something that is being reported on, and I do not believe that that is content you should be blocking. So for example, different news and media websites, I do understand some of them are very harmful, and if those are the types of media that you want to block, absolutely please do so, because like I said, all of us are entitled to, and we have a right to, the type of viewing experience that we want to create on social media. However, existing in an echo chamber and just shutting yourself off from something that is happening in the world because you don't agree with it is not a great way to build not only emotional intelligence, but ignorance is not your friend. And just pretending like something isn't happening doesn't mean it's not happening. So those are not outlets that I would block, but content creators and influencers who are posting divisive, rage baiting content, absolutely block them. And if somebody is posting content you don't like, block them. It's just that simple. Like that nurse Hannah girl, I was in my comment section telling people to just block her. And they were like, oh, you're excusing abuse. You're making excuses for her. No, I'm not excusing abuse, but I don't understand the value of going and consistently engaging with someone's content and watching it when it makes you angry, because all you're doing is putting money in that person's pockets. And there are so many people who nowadays have a profile, have a platform, have gotten verified on social media websites, and have gotten opportunities and have built their brands and have created $1 million brands off of the fact that people do not like them. So your anger while you are sitting there activated in your body, pissed off and frustrated and commenting, they don't care. All you're doing is lining your pockets. So why would you want to give money to someone you don't like? Why would you want to make someone who frustrates you, who angers you, who disgusts you? Why are you trying to make them money? You know, I don't know if people just don't have that level of thinking or that level of emotional intelligence, or they were just so activated that they were not able to see what I was actually trying to say. But it was really frustrating for me that I'm just sitting here saying, no, I don't condone abuse. Whatever she is doing to her children, if she is abusing them, hopefully that will be rectified and she and those children will get the help that they need. But in the meantime, block her. If somebody is frustrating you and you don't like their content, block them. It is free. If you are seeing a lot of this content that is rage baiting and it is eliciting a lot of emotions from you, negative emotions, if it's something that's actually dangerous and harmful, you can report this type of content. You know, report it and then block it. Rage bait, unfortunately, it is not going anywhere. And I honestly think it is only going to continue to get worse, like I said, as a result of AI, as a result of targeted dis and misinformation campaigns, but also because people are trying to become content creators and influencers. And as the market becomes more oversaturated, people are going to go to more and more and more extremes to get noticed and to break out. So unfortunately, we will continue to see this type of content. We will probably see a rise in this type of content. But now that you have watched this video, you are so much more informed of what rage bait is, how to spot it, and what to do instead. If it is harmful content, please report it, especially on TikTok. And as I'm sitting here saying it's only going to get worse, there has been conversation over the past 7 or 8 months about TikTok being banned in the United States. If that happens, I honestly think it will right size the social media landscape and climate that is happening, because TikTok, it's such a fast moving app. It has such a sophisticated algorithm that in part is what drives rage bait, that I think will be less of a problem on social media if TikTok gets banned, because we don't really see the same level of rage bait on Instagram that we do on TikTok. And I think it is a result of A, just how many people are using it, but also B, the way the algorithm is designed and people trying to go viral on that app. When we know better, we do better. And now that you know what rage bait is and how to spot it, hopefully you will do a lot better when it comes to rage bait. If for no reason other than not wanting to feel how horrible it feels in your body to constantly be hemmed up and activated like that, at the very least, it is so we can engage better with one another as a society. Drop down in the comments, let me know what you thought about this video. And also, if you want to go over to my community tab, I did post a little poll about rage bait. If rage bait is something that you can spot it instantly, or if you have no idea what it looks like, if you know what it looks like, but you engage with it anyway, or if you know what it looks like and you don't engage with it at all, head on over to my community tab and let's get the conversation popping over there. Or you can drop down in the comments and let me know what your thoughts are on rage bait. Do you think it's gonna get better if we ban TikTok, or do you think it's gonna get worse? Let me know, would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, peace out.